No.
Put people in place.
Okay, we'll call to order the work session of the Missouri County Commissioners on this 21st day of March 2017. Let's begin with Jennifer Bowen from the Law Library, or from Seneca County Library.
Yeah, I'm the law librarian, if you don't know me. I work 3 days a week. I'm up in Judge Kelbley's area since we got displaced when the courthouse came down, so I'm up there temporarily. But just so you know, just to give a little spiel off the bat, I do have a little functioning law library. So if you ever need any of those resources, or Westlaw Next, which is a resource you can use to access law materials, we've got that up there too. The only problem with being up there, I love being up there with Donna and Judge and Lisa and Amy and Erica. We don't have any public access right now, so that's a little problematic. But hopefully that'll be resolved, because obviously I'm going to have to move eventually. So I'm here today to talk about a couple of things. First of all, I've got a handout, but I don't think everybody's probably going to need it. But if you have items that you think will need digitized, especially historic documents in your collection, Donna's got them. You'll probably want to get one before you leave. But if you don't have historic documents or large format like ledgers and things that need digitized, you probably don't really need a handout, but you're welcome to one. And then I also have a handout explaining about this side up here, the Seneca County Digital Library, which I'm going to show you real quick. So it's a link from the Tiffin Public Library. Oh, and I meant to tell you too, the lady, her name is Joanne Schaefer. We've been working probably almost 2 years, year and a half, to talking back and forth with ordering equipment and things to digitize items. Her father passed away on Saturday in Pittsburgh, so she was going to be here, but obviously that wasn't going to happen. So I'm going to do the best I can, because most of this is hers. So this is the link to get to the Seneca County Digital Library. And what this site does, it digitizes, the library digitizes all things historic to Seneca County and Tiffin. It's a free service. And so as we started talking about some of the county documents, like the things that are very fragile but we want to preserve forever, and more importantly have online for people to access, this is the site where those documents end up. For instance, we've got, and this Tiffin Seneca Public Library does this, there are Columbian yearbooks, Calvert yearbooks, lots of junior home stuff, whatever they can find that meets a certain historic criteria. And I know that there are those documents out there for Seneca County. For instance, this is a Calvert yearbook.
Oh my.
From 1970, and I don't know if anybody recognizes anybody in that picture.
Mr. Kirshner.
Mary Jo Muller, Patricia Ring, and I don't know who the guy in the bottom of.
So,
Yeah.
so if you didn't know it, at this point, if you graduated from Calvert or Columbian, most of those have already been digitized and put on here, so that there's always a safe, backed up copy of these very important materials. So let me just tell you briefly about some of the things that Joanne and I have talked about. So they have equipment, and I am going to show you a real brief 5-minute video that the library created, and it kind of walks you through the process of how they get from point A to point B. So you hand them a historic document that you want preserved. A permission slip needs to be signed just as a formality. Then they take it, they have a large format light stand with lights and a camera. So it's a flat surface for those big ledger books, or little things too. But we started talking about all the things that probably needed digitized for the county and the city too. They do the city stuff as well. So I wrote a grant, the law library wrote a grant to get the same equipment, which will show up in this video, so that then the library could digitize large ledger books and things that need to be saved, or that are too big for a regular scanner, but not necessarily, might not need to be put on the Seneca County Digital site, because those things are things that you want to name, a date, anything that a genealogist or somebody searching would be interested in finding. So there might be the other things, I don't know, what, like the big commissioner books or whatever, that might not need to be put on this site, but need to be preserved. So it's kind of a two-faceted idea or whatever. She wrote down, and again, I apologize, she did most of the public library stuff. The statistics for the Seneca County Digital Library have increased dramatically, so people do get on and access this from around the world for genealogy purposes or just for fun. And what they do with that, when they digitize, they include something called metadata, so that if it's a handwritten document, you know, those old ledger books with the really pretty swirly, you know, curly Q writing, they decipher that as best as possible, put that in a section called metadata, so that that does then turn into a searchable document as well. So let me show you this video. It won't take, it really is like a 5-minute video that a guy at the public library put together. And it just shows you the process a little better.
The subject of this short video is how and why we digitize documents and artifacts. First, why do we digitize? The goal in digitizing is to preserve items for future generations and to make them accessible. The Tiffin Seneca Public Library is a partner with the Ohio History Connections Ohio Memory Project. This is a growing project for historians and genealogists to explore the past and conduct research. The Seneca County Digital Library was created in 2009. The library is a depository for digitized items that the library owns and those that have been donated or loaned. The Seneca County Digital Library highlights local high school and collegiate yearbooks, county histories, census books, city and county directories, veterans information, historic postcards, photographs, booklets, newsletters, and much more. The Tiffin Seneca Public Library copies and digitizes material on site. When starting a digital project, permission from the owner of the item has to be granted. A permission letter and a copyright permission form are sent to the owner, who has to agree to the scanning. These documents are kept on file by the Tiffin Seneca Public Library. The next step is to assess the item that is to be copied. The size and condition of the item determines how we proceed. Smaller flat items copy better on the flatbed scanner, while larger fragile items copy better by taking a high-quality digital picture. The files are then edited with our Photoshop program. The Ohio Memory Project requires all files must be saved in the TIFF format. Digitized files are then saved, and a backup file is saved to an external hard drive. The files are then transferred to a flash drive and sent to the Ohio History Connection in Columbus, Ohio. The Ohio History Connection, formerly the Ohio Historical Society, is a statewide history organization. Its primary goal is to preserve and share Ohio's history. This includes housing the state's Historic Preservation Office, the official state archives, local history office, and managing more than 50 sites and museums across Ohio. When the flash drive is received by the Ohio History Connection, the files are saved once again, and a backup file is also made. The Ohio History Connection uses Content DM software to present digitized material on its website, ohiomemory.org. This software enables searching as well as viewing of posted material. The search engine uses OCLC Partner Services, part of which enables finding text in an item and the metadata. When the files are uploaded by the Ohio History Connection to its Content DM program, they then appear in a queue for us to add metadata and approval. An example, the photograph of the old Carnegie Library reading room is being added. The next step is to add the metadata that describes the picture, information, and access points for the viewers. The fields are completed with the data for the photograph. It is important to include dates, places, and any names of people in the picture, as well as the dimensions and data about the picture. Once the data is added, the photograph is now ready to be indexed for viewing on the Seneca County Digital Library website, as well as the World Wide Web. When searching from our website search engine, queries can be anything from names, dates, places, and phrases. The Seneca County Digital Library search engine will display a number of items for viewing. Each item will have a highlighted search term and listed pages displayed. The Seneca County Digital Library is not only viewed by Ohioans, but from people all over the world. Some of the countries that have viewed our digital library are Argentina, Greece, Italy, Luxembourg, Poland, Slovenia, Tanzania, Turkey, and many more. Thank you for viewing our informational video, and please visit the Seneca County.
Okay, so that just gives you, I really wanted to show that just to give you an idea of the scope of work involved in actually digitizing some of those historic documents and then putting them in a safe and secure place. The Ohio digital site, the Tiffin Seneca Public Library is our contact point for being able to upload or download those items to the Ohio Memory Project. I think you have to like join, you have to be a library. It's not like I could take our documents and put them on there myself. It's a kind of like, you see, kind of a long involved process. But the beauty is, the Tiffin Seneca Public Library has the scanning equipment you saw on the flatbed, and they are willing to do this for free. So if you have some really awesome historic documents, I know Teresa and we talked at our other meeting, that there are some really unique items that are crumbling that need to be preserved. And they want to have, I think they said they're getting, and this is in this handout too if you want to take one later, it takes several years to complete. Digitized county-owned materials that can be done in batches so that all information will not be taken from storage at one time. I mean, obviously they don't want everything there. They don't have space either. And they're going to use staff and volunteers to digitize these materials. So this would be a long, ongoing process until everything of importance gets digitized. Colleen Vayo from Tiffin University has expressed interest in having her students complete internships at the library as part of her communications class. So there are people out there willing to help to do this. So that's the library side of it. My side is, like I said, I bought that same flatbed, light stand, lights, and a camera to digitize other things. That, there again, that'd be an ongoing process. My board did give me permission to work on that as part of my job description. So if there are items, like I said, the big ledger books that just need preserved, then those could be digitized and then held on a county server not necessarily accessible to the public, but just accessible to everybody here. So it's kind of a two different areas to consider. I think that's really about it. I mean, like I said, if you'd like a handout or one of these, we'll pass those out. But it's something that then, once it's done, it's done. The county would retain ownership of the original documents, and what happens with those is still kind of up in the air, whether they are put in archival boxes to preserve the original documents. But the library, because Matt Ross, who is the director of the public library, we did talk about that, whether or not they would like those original documents held in an area in the library, and he said there's no way we would have room for that. Not that they didn't want them, they just don't have room. But the library is on board. The last one of the pages on this handout is a letter from Matt that he wrote yesterday to say that he and the library are fully supportive of this initiative. So do you have any questions about anything? It's a really cool site.
Do you have any sense of what the capacity is for scanning as far as documents? I mean, we've got a lot.
They never really said, oh, we only can do the best 100 documents. I'm pretty sure it's because a lot of it's on the servers down in Columbus, so I'm sure they expand those servers as need be.
So
I'm pretty
unlimited
sure it's
storage
kind of
potential
unlimited.
for digital documents, but the bottleneck is the actual process of scanning and indexing.
Right.
And we don't really know how to quantify.
Right. But they said, they know, as we went into this, Joanne and Matt at the library said, we know this is going to be a huge project, an ongoing project. We'd start with the most fragile, most critical, most interesting documents first, and then just keep going as people gave them items. It's a long process to get it from point A to, to up onto the Seneca Digital Library collection. So.
Any sense if their operation is scalable, if it could be doubled, if we wanted to double the speed of scanning, or?
I think it's all manpower.
Yeah.
It just depends on how many people. But since we own, Seneca County Law Library owns the same equipment, I, have talked to her about scanning some of those historic documents too. She'd have to show me exactly how. I can't download it to the OC, whatever, L. But I could do the initial work. So, I mean, that's a way that we could speed up that process too, where I would scan it, or I'd have volunteers, photograph the items, put it on a flash drive or a passport, and then take it to them to do the other stuff that they have to do.
I'm curious if any of our other elected officials have a scanning process that would fit with this program. Is anybody currently doing anything?
We're scanning it.
Yeah, I think Shane, we've got some basic questions we need to do. I think we have two separate issues here. We have the historical documents, which certainly is important. And then we have the question as to current documents and what can be digitized and what can't be digitized. So this is a separate animal, if you will. Those things that are important from an historical standpoint, there is no reason not to do that at this time. The bigger question is, do we have an opinion? We talked about this a number of times. Do we have an opinion from council, any of the elected officials, as to what documents we can and what documents we can't digitize, and the time frames, the age of those that we can and we can't? Jeannie, I'll start with you. Do we have any legal opinion?
It's a work in progress. We've been starting that process, and we've gotten not an all-inclusive, but parts of it. So
Parts of an opinion from council?
Parts divided up by the type of documents that we have, the type of cases that we have. I've started the process of asking those questions of the prosecutor, and I've gotten some opinions back already, but it's still an ongoing process for me yet.
Okay.
Do you know, are all documents considered of historic significance?
No, and in the handout, Joanne also included, I think it's your guys' second page, determining historic value of documents and items. And I really do believe that that would kind of be the library's job to, you know, if we sent over a bunch of documents and said, what do you think about these? Are these appropriate to put on that site? But they do have set criteria for historic documents.
Don't they all become historic documents at some point?
Probably.
Time passes.
Yeah. I want to continue on this question. Julie, do you have any opinion as to age, types of documents, et cetera, that can be digitized? Legal opinion?
I haven't gotten one from the prosecutor last. I spoke with Stacy on it to see if we could get like something initiated. I have not. I don't know if you've had any luck.
So we don't have any definitive answer at this point in time. Mike, do you have any answer from anybody as to
we do.
what
We
you can
do.
and what you can't?
We do.
No, but pretty much everything in my office is a public record, so, I mean,
Well,
I've never gotten an opinion.
okay. Everything in your office is public record, but that doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be paper.
Right.
Okay.
Right. We've asked a couple times for the prosecutors to, you know, offer his opinion, and basically our records can be digitized. And we talked about this at the IT committee, you know, last week. Time went so fast. Anyway, so yeah, but we're under the rules of superintendents from Supreme Court of Ohio. All of our, we have to keep a permanent record. It doesn't have to be paper, but we do have to keep the record. It has to be ongoing. At all times, you can pick up that record and be able to read it. So it's going forward, you know, if it is scanned and digitized, we have to make sure it is a good record of that. And it has to be part of our case management system, and actually, so we can actually search it. That's part of it too. Somebody comes in and wants to search something. It doesn't mean all of it's public, you know, that we can digitize. It's not all public information, you know, so we have like adoptions and this kind of stuff, we still have to keep the record of. But it's not out there for.
But even if it's not
management system.
public, you can still digitize.
Yeah, you can
it.
still
Right.
digitize, yes. We can digitize all of our records.
Yeah.
That's not a problem.
Okay.
But for us to search, we do go over to 81 Jefferson Street quite often and get out information for people that want that come in, basically genealogy records, you know, that kind of thing. But it is there, and we can have it digitized, we can have that done. But it's a time-consuming process to have that scanned, digitized, scanned, whatever, but also it has to be documented so we can search it. Otherwise, it's of no value, you know, if you can't search the record and find these things. It's not really gonna be at this point what I call historical, some of the stuff we have, like estates, et cetera, that we have over there, but, you know, that's where that stands. It's time consuming. It's a lot of time.
Are any of the elected officials a long way in the process, have most of their stuff digitized at this point? Have eliminated a lot of paperwork?
Come on, Steve, stand up. He's hide back there.
We're paperless.
Okay. You know, how did you determine, Your Honor, what it is that you're able to digitize and not digitize from a legal standpoint?
We got a prosecutor's opinion. We asked varying questions of what, everything we had. For example, employment records, can those be scanned and put in the clouds, or we have to keep a hard copy? Bills, you name it, everything. Budgets, everything we have in a criminal case, pre-sentence reports, guardian ad litem reports, and domestic case, all kinds. We asked specifically from the prosecutor's office what we could scan and what we need to keep, how long we have to keep it. Everything's different for every office. So I think the first thing that I do is ask for a legal opinion so they have something to rely on. And then using that opinion, we went ahead, and it took us 3 years to scan everything that we have and put it in the clouds, and those that we have to keep.
What did that do for your office space?
I got rid of 40 file cabinets, 40
40
plus,
file cabinets,
40 plus.
okay. Sharon, yeah, I see you shaking your head back there.
Well, our office, Derek is very proactive on the paperless. All these lovely ladies scan, reducing the amount of paperwork that has to be kept for a criminal file. But as Teresa said, retrieval is what is important. Scanning is one thing, they have to retrieve it. So we've got very set rules about what we do. I know we go to the prosecutor for his opinion. There's also, the Historical Society has very set rules about record retention, and they quote revised code on that. But our office is very proactive, and I know Lydia's is too, victim assistance. And we've just reduced the amount of storage boxes that we have in file cabinets. We actually have empty file cabinets.
Okay, who haven't I heard from as far as?
Board of Elections.
No, they're not really.
Well, I was gonna say, I know we have permanent records, and at this point in time, we have to keep the paper. But it might not hurt to go back to Derek and say,
Is that a
do we
Secretary of
still-
State ruling, or is that, where they?
I'm not 100% sure on that.
Past practice?
Correct. That's kind of the general word is that we have to keep the paper. Now, we do scan and keep digitized, but of certain things that we use in our office, we still have to keep the hard copy paper, so.
Yeah, the question is, do you have to?
Yeah.
I know that's been the way, that's been the voice. Now, the next big question is, at least trying to put this thing in a big picture. We need the legal opinion, we need to know what you're allowed to and what you're not allowed to scan and what can be digitized. The second question is, what type of software and or hardware are we using, and should we try to use the same across the county? And is it connection with that, is it possible with the staffs that we have to digitize the information that we have now, or would it be better to get an outside firm to come in with one set of software, one set of hardware, and go across the county and get everybody the same information? So I will leave that up to discussion. Would it be a good idea to have the same software and hardware across the county? That's the first question. Julie, I'll answer that for me, will you, in your opinion?
I use the same software that I think the judges have. You use Smart Search for your application. Sorry.
Judge
Sorry.
Thanks, Donna.
Yeah, thanks.
We're only using a small piece of it right now, but as far as scanning old payroll records and the large books like Jen talked about, I'm open to that, but that's a huge task because we have the whole top floor, with the exception of some records for the treasurer, out at the TB building full of old books.
Okay. Yes, Counselor.
I'm not speaking for my department, but I work at Job and Family Services, and we've gotten rid of paper, and it took a whole huge effort to do that. We had to bring in temporary workers to do that. Maintaining it is easy once you get it going, but getting everything archived, and I think you indicated, you have to decide what software you want to use, how you want to store it. With the older court records, handwriting, cursive, I don't know if there's an Adobe program that lets that become searchable, but you have to have the right index at the beginning. With these type programs, there's some Adobe that lets you to search for those, but that's not cheap either, so, it depends on which one. We store everything in TIFF, so we just store them as images, that's free and available, and it doesn't take up, it doesn't take up that much memory, but from the law library side of it, we're willing to get that equipment that the county needs, but you have to come up with a plan I think we had the scanners, and where's Jennifer at?
I'm here.
Yeah, we got the scanner, but we don't have the staff to do it.
We don't have the scanner, but we've got
Yeah,
the big
right.
light stand.
Right. And what I think we've discussed at our meetings is, something right off the bat would be like something like the genealogical records. To get those scanned, that would give for the community, that's something that they could use and start right off the bat and getting that traffic out of there and protecting those books. But there's a lot of big folio books that you guys have, journals and stuff, that we probably could scan with that.
So let me make sure I understand what you're saying. you would be willing to be the central point of contact for scanning all the documents?
At the beginning on that, we can handle a small project, we can probably handle the entire, the county like
Okay.
that.
Well, how about some more input on, should we have one set of software across the county, or should everybody do their own thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Talk,
Like I said, we, just as you guys have discussed it, we discussed it at our office for quite some time now, and put out some ideas, like I said, to the IT committee meeting. But we have Henson and Associates, okay, as our case management system, and they're one that pretty knowledgeable about, having for court. And
let me recognize previous commissioners. Thanks for coming, thanks for showing up.
Well, I had a flashback of what it used to be. It's like,
Well,
oh my
oh,
God.
no.
He's now been to more meetings at 17 than he was 16.
That is fun.
I got my headline.
Anyway, so that's our case management system, and we've had them for quite some time. And there are other case management systems out there for courts, but we've used Tension because it's really the most cost effective for the court as far as us being able to search our records, etc. We are currently scanning the current, so we bought all scanners for all the desks here as this stuff comes in. But I think it'd be hard to come up with a software system that can handle the different types of management that you have to have, entry, data entry, so I think it would be hard to be uniform. We did have two people come into us. We have a quote, I gave it to Stacy from ScanWorks, and also we had a gentleman come in from Xerox, which is going to be named something else soon. And they could come in and do, your scanning for you. Only one will come on site. The other one is off-site, ScanWorks off-site. They'll come in and do it for you, but it costs a lot in prep work. Okay, so they were talking about $45 an hour. That was the one that would give us a quote. The other Xerox, did not give us a quote on that part, as I remember. But it's $45 an hour just to prep work. And prep work, I mean by taking a case, okay, laying it out, making sure every page is numbered, putting identifiers on it, case number, type of case, whatever, so you can search it. And having that ready to be just scanned. Okay, so $45 an hour, that's a lot. We also have records that, and this is our one that we would like to get done, is our guardianship records. We have a lot of those. They're very thin. The paper's really thin and dry now. It's getting old. That is one area that we never had anything done to.
Where are those stored now?
They're 81 Jefferson. And so to do that, it's like, we got a quote on that, it's like $450 a metal box. And we have like close to 328 boxes. That's quite a bit. But even that needed prep work. Somebody to take everything, all the paper, lay it out flat, carefully, tape the cracks in the paper. So, but we've microfilmed for a long time, but that's another point of concern. The Supreme Court of Ohio dictated at one time just microfilm. That's all. They, well, that's actually what they still say in there, but there's some wiggle room there. But, so we've microfilmed for quite some time.
Well, I assume that somebody has come up with a process to take microfilm to.
Yes, they have, yeah, to be, but also you have to go back and look at the microfilm now to see if it's okay.
Yeah.
Because microfilm now, we know is not always the permanent
One of those
solution.
crank things you had to try to find it.
Is that horrible?
It's a lot of fun.
We have microfilm and microfiche.
Okay.
So we microfilmed a lot of records over the years, and but then find out that maybe that's not the easiest, but that was the mechanism at the time.
Right, oh, absolutely.
And so now they say that if it's a polyester versus acetate of what they had, the acetate breaks down, and so you've got to look at that and make sure your image is still solid before you finally would get rid of that record. Now, is that worth it time-wise? Take each one, look at it, see if you can enhance it. I don't know.
Have you gathered any direction from the Ohio Historic Society on whether you can destroy those documents once you scan them?
We run through the, like I said, the Supreme Court of Ohio.
Okay, isn't the default ownership of the documents the Ohio Historic? Whether or not you can destroy the actual physical document?
The document, we still have we still have the document. The way I read it, as long as we have the document, it doesn't matter what media type it's in. So we are, like with current files, we are scanning and we are destroying.
Okay.
Okay, but with the old ones, some of the counties read it as long as we still have the document on file. It doesn't matter what media it's in, we can destroy. So a lot of them don't ask the Ohio Historical Society if they can destroy the paper portion of it.
And where are you at on that? I mean, if we got a process on this specific issue, these fragile documents, where we got them scanned, would you be willing to destroy the physical documents?
The estates, but not all.
Not all of them.
Because
of the historical value.
Over, and I don't know if you ever visited 81 Jefferson Street, but that's where most of our records are, but we would be willing to destroy quite a bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the estates, et cetera. But there's always those things, and some of that would probably be, like for Jennifer's for historic, we have naturalization records, we have township birth and death records that were hand done through the townships.
Well,
So-
quite frankly, if we either destroy them or they'll just
go,
right?
they'll
So-
self-combust.
Yeah, and I don't know how far away that point is if they're fragile
Right.
already.
Mhm.
You know, from a county perspective, we have to create space to house these.
We're-
And we're not
if you-
creating the best space for them right now.
For most of our records up there, we would be willing to destroy it.
Most, as in what percent?
Well, it's a vast amount there,
Yeah.
Shane.
3
I mean,
floors.
we have 3 floors of records. So I'm saying, maybe a room.
A room you would destroy?
No, that we keep.
That you would keep, okay.
That we keep.
And that's where we're ultimately trying to get is how much space do we need on a permanent basis if we have a program for digitizing and retaining. So, that's where we have to get to the answer.
And one of the thoughts we had when we talked about it was like to actually have, since it does take time, was it, Ray said like 3 years, how many years, to get all this stuff done. So it's not a fast process and you can't have it be quick. Is to have a place, an archival spot somewhere where these records can be taken, and that would be where you'd set up and start the scanning and et cetera. Because it's very expensive to have somebody come from the outside. It may be, like the easiest way, but like I said, just that one portion of what we're talking about is a couple $100,000.
Documents?
It's a real cost benefit.
$200,000.
It's a real cost benefit question here. Because, I know that it isn't a big number, but we have to maintain these buildings in which these documents are stored. How much time, extra time does it take folks to physically go over to that building to research and find these documents, as opposed to keying them in on something and bringing them up from where they're at? I don't know that we can quantify that at this point, but I do know that there is some obvious expense there. We have some responsibility to save these documents, and the environment that they're in now certainly isn't doing that. I have done 81 Jefferson Street on more than one occasion, and I think that I deteriorate when I go in. Yeah, so it's pretty,
I'm speaking for Judge Kelbley's office. We've started our scanning process maybe just about a year ago, and we have everything currently scanned. We have not destroyed anything yet, because we're not sure what we don't let go of that paper, But we're starting on 81 Jefferson Street, and at this point, we have 35 boxes yet to scan, and like you say, they're so fragile. I mean, you have those old fact sheets, you cannot run them through. They have to be laid carefully, and it's a very slow process.
Is your employees doing that, or do you have?
We have one person that we have hired to scan, and she's part-time.
Teresa, it's expensive, I know that, but the fact is that we have to attack it at some point.
Oh, I know, I'm very into that.
We'll just continue, and I get it, I appreciate where you come from. I for one don't like to spend money, especially taxpayers' money, but it's a question of either doing it or allowing this to continue and kicking it down the road.
Right.
At some point in time, we have to get this stuff on some type of a digital process. We have to do it. And the question is, do we accelerate it by bringing somebody in to help you guys, or do we allow just the normal course of things to happen?
some of the things you talked about that we don't want to destroy, some of those handwritten, you were talking about in our IT meeting, the death, cause of death,
Yeah,
or
the-
whatever those.
That's all in township.
Yeah, the
Okay,
township
and some of the town, okay. So is it possible at some of those that you've got what you need with them, or can that, I guess, are there segments of something like that, and that's 2 boxes, or 50 boxes, or 100 boxes, can go to the library, or to,
If somebody will take them eventually.
That
I mean,
they would
that's
get
another
that
part, is getting
done.
people to take it. I mean, a lot of times you reach out to the Historical Society for them to take things, even if they don't want it. So this is something that is really like for our history, but it's like, we'd be glad to give it to some, if they'll
well,
take it.
well, if they're gonna, if the public library, not meaning you, Jen,
Right,
but if
right.
the public library's gonna take them and get them into the system, because
Right.
they're public record, right, that can be into the system, it's there, it probably eventually comes to the point of when a room is full or a building is full or whatever, we're just not going to be able to keep every piece of paper.
And I
Of some of those
agree.
things we'd like to keep, we
Yeah.
might have to keep a sampling of.
I think we'd always
know.
like, I think, I can't speak for a lot of people here, obviously, but, you'd like to keep those first. Those things like, I'm sure you said like your board books are down at the museum. Your first couple of states, I mean, there's gonna be some of those things that are first in the county, but.
Did somebody tell me that Bowling Green used to take some of the physical documents and don't take them anymore? Is that true?
I'm not
Okay.
sure presently, but they used to, at least probably do the same process
to
where they
house- they actually house the
digitize and
documents.
probably house some.
I know
Yeah.
years
But I'm
ago,
not
they
sure.
digitalized some records,
Mhm.
but then returned them to us, but they digitalized them,
Very
but then
good,
returned
John.
the actual physical documents to
Yeah,
us.
John, we need to think about those documents that are deteriorating so badly in 81 Jefferson. Is there any other place that is environmentally controlled to the point where maybe they would deteriorate so badly?
Not really. The 81, the plight of that building is, when's the roof gonna come in or start leaking again?
Yeah.
Right now, we've been babying the boiler for 2 years, waiting for the day to either.
Yeah, I think we checked, I think it's cost us $17,000 a year, is that right?
For maintenance.
For maintenance and operation of that building, and,
TB Hospital's similar system. We have old furnaces out there. We had a little wind damage here last week. It's
okay.
just
I
truly
was just
an old
looking for a
building.
temporary place so these things don't continue to
No,
deteriorate. There
as
isn't.
far as that, there isn't. No, every nook and cranny and corner and closet's either been full or it's still full.
Yeah, I mean, in the ideal world, we would end up with an archival center that is humidity and temperature controlled.
Sure.
That there would be a person there, that would be able to find documents. I mean, I think that's ultimately where we would like to be. We're a long way from there right now.
Well, just from a visual of what we've got now and what we have stored, it would take something similar to a building like Decker's, like the old Newberry store. 2 floors, concrete floors, freight elevator where you can have a forklift, whether it's just a hand-powered one or whatever. It would take a building similar to that size, climate controlled for certain things, not climate controlled for others, but that's what that's what I'm looking at.
Okay.
So, something along that line. Maybe not quite that big, but depends on how much we get rid of. But,
Mark, do you have anything on this issue?
I mean, all of our records are mostly scanned. We're trying to get our stuff online.
Yeah, he's hiding.
What's that?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we don't have anything in any other building other than out of our office, so. I mean, we're required to keep our federal contracts and our contracts forever, so, but we have them all scanned,
Okay.
so. And we
Maps?
Yeah, everything's scanned and we keep them, but my room is, I don't know, a wall, that wall. It's all my records.
Well, it appears to me that really the step that we need to take is to get a definitive answer from either the Secretary of State or the prosecutor as to what it is we can digitize and what we can't. I mean, there's no sense starting down the road if we don't know what documents we're gonna be able to work with. And that, yes.
Can I make a suggestion that when you send that report to our office, that the person requesting be as specific as possible, rather than say, what documents do we have to keep? List the documents and
Right.
say A, B, C, D.
Okay,
It's just a suggestion.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, any help we can get about getting, but I mean, everybody needs to know as elected officials and department heads, what are you able to do? I mean, I don't want you to do anything you feel uncomfortable with from a legal standpoint, certainly. But we do need to picture as many of these as we can, as opposed to keeping the paper. And I know there are a lot of subtle nuances with all that with different offices, I get that. But everybody's gotta get to the point where they're comfortable with what it is they can. And my sense is that there's a whole lot more that can than can't. So we need to do that, and then we need to come up with a decision as to, you know, is there are we gonna have a proprietary software system to do this? Or is each office gonna do their own thing? Or, you know, can it be a countywide system? And I think that it's important that we all make that decision. So I don't know if there are any further thoughts about that, or if we beat this horse to death at this point, and we just kinda need to go back and then meet again in the near future.
I know some of the scanning companies that have come in and talked, and I heard out there already that they're using TIFF. TIFF seems to be the OCR, the one that you can search, and that's the form that everybody seems to be using. The couple companies that I've talked to, you know, said, you know, if you've got it in TIFF format, I mean, other than the software itself, like Henshin, I couldn't put something just in Henshin, but the format, as long as the format's the same,
The search engine will work then.
depending on the smooth process of different software, but from what I understand, just a few conversations with these companies, some companies make it a little harder to move systems, but, you know, we talked a little at our IT meeting that, you know, we would hope to get something that's not proprietary, that could be changed, or, you know, because companies always come and go, and we don't want to end up, you know, them leaving, and so, but it sounds like TIFF seems to be the format that's most searchable, so. And what company that is, I don't know. Julie had talked to the Sandusky County, and I talked to Teresa yesterday in Sandusky County. They did a whole caged-in area of payroll records, and because they were getting stuff out of their courthouse, they made the investment to have a company come in, which she gave me the contact information, to come in and actually take all of those records. There was some time indexing. They actually go through every box, and, you know, they mark every box, so that way if, you know, you need a record before they get it scanned for you, you can call, it's in box number 27, and they'll go get it scanned for you and send it. She said their cost was about $35,000 to have all that done, and she said it's searchable, it's in software that you just bring up, and it's keyword searchable, or it's specific. Since it was a lot of payroll, it was name, different things like that, so I got at least somewhat of an idea of at least what Sandusky County had done.
And we don't want to do, as commissioners, you know, what I refer to as unfunded mandates. I mean, we don't want to say, okay, elected officials, you need to do this, you need to have it done by 2020, and good luck with the funding. You know, we really think that we need to, I really feel that as a board of commissioners, we need to participate in that. And again, it's a cost-benefit thing with us. You know, how long can we maintain the buildings? How much extra time do we spend with maintenance? Everybody walking over there, you know, with the fact that things are getting destroyed. So we really have to think that over. Ron? Yeah.
Quick question, the TIFF format, does that make handwritten documents searchable? Because a lot of these records gotta be handwritten.
Yeah, the
when you gotta write the
metadata, you would basically have to retype the document so it would be searchable. We had a couple of ours scanned just for, to see what it looked like, but you would have to put the work in, or find somebody to put the work in to actually type the handwritten stuff out to find it. Or you could just put keywords in. I guess you wouldn't have to type the whole thing in, but you could put
you know, the keywords of the subject of the document. I'm just thinking of our journal.
By the time the grandbabies look for stuff, they won't know what cursive it is.
Jeannie, did you have something to add?
I did, you know, and I know you've touched on this a bit, but the process is gonna be a slow process, no doubt. Once we reach all the decisions, like you talked about, can we digitalize, can we go ahead and shred the paper documents? Once we reach that point, until we reach that point where we're actually doing that, it's gonna take a monumental amount of time, I believe. Because of the volume. In my office, you know, I'm not just talking administrative records, I'm talking court case records that, I have to do what the Supreme Court tells me. Once we reach the decision whether we can scan it and then shred it, fine, but until we hit that point, I still have to have access to those records. We get requests every day, we're walking across the street every day. Maybe that's, I would say a fair number of times every week, we're walking across the street for somebody's old divorce decree that the kids are now wanting to do some genealogy. We have those requests all the time. Absolutely, we wanted to have it digitalized. We want to be able to search for it. We've searched, ever since we stopped microfilming, which was in 2003, we have scanned since then. So everything we have since then, we can search and we can find it, we can get them instantaneously. But people want those old records and they want to be able to search and get them. And right now, we have very easy access. 81 Jefferson, for all you say about it, and I agree, we're gonna lose our records. It's still, for me, a very close answer. And it's organized so that we can have those documents and be back in our office in 5 minutes. If for some reason we go out to wherever, the time until we are able to get them scanned would be monumental for us.
I absolutely agree with everything you say. The problem, or the situation is, if we wait 5 years from now, it's gonna be exponentially larger, you know?
I agree.
So that's, we just need to attack it. We can't continue to give it lip service and then not do anything. So that's where we're at.
Agreed. And 81 Jefferson is not the place.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? I have a copy of from the Ohio Historical Society, our records retention schedule, which lists everything. But for instance, like this says court decisions, says retention period, it just says permanent, right? But then next to it, the media type, it says paper. Does that mean you always have to keep
You just
those
change your
paper?
retention. Or change your
You
retention
just,
schedule.
you guys can change that from paper to.
And then we send it
Okay,
down to the
gotcha.
state.
So it's
and
not
the
them
state
saying it
then-
has to be paper, that's just how it is right now.
Right, yeah,
Gotcha,
'cause I
okay.
think,
So I'm like, whoa, you have to keep the paper.
The Supreme Court,
I
guys,
submitted
the
a new
courts.
RC to the state for approval. I'm still waiting on that. And if they do come back and approve it, then the case files that we hold on veterans that the veteran and the spouse are deceased and there are no dependent children, those will be destroyed because those are not public records. They're just gonna go away. So our portion of 81 Jefferson will just go away if they approve that.
Okay, homework is trying to get as direct an answer as possible regarding what it is we can and can't retain. We will talk to the people the TIF people.
That's the format.
Or,
I got some.
or a couple of the bids and see what type of hourly or what type of an approximate cost it might be to do this countywide. And so we'll have those answers when we meet again. Let's try to do it 30 days or so. And hopefully you guys will have your answers or many answers regarding retention schedules. Yes.
Can I ask a question? And this is my first meeting, but is there a timeline for 81 Jefferson?
Oh, for 81 Jefferson?
Sooner than later.
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah, we want to put that up for sale and be rid of it.
So is there a timeline for looking for somewhere else?
No, we're not gonna do it, you know, and that's what we'd like to do. What's gonna happen is probably a year from, pretty much sure a year from now, it'll still be there. You know, if we get a process going.
Right.
And we start to eliminate
Well,
some
we
of that
think
stuff.
we'll be done.
Yeah.
but
and then-
It may take us another
Oh,
year
yeah,
to get through
yeah,
those
yeah, yeah.
35
But
boxes.
if we can see the light,
Yeah.
say, okay, you know, this building's gonna be empty by 2019, you know, then we can, it'd be nicer to get it done before then, but I think reality then bites you, and you gotta decide.
Is it possible that maybe, I don't know, we need to kind of set a deadline when we're gonna talk again and gather this information, but Jen, would it be possible, I mean, I don't know if you or Stace would be the point, to get an assessment done of what software each office is using? I mean, just to kind of know, and then maybe if we talk to anybody that may be accessible, a company, something to start helping somebody with one chunk you haven't gotten to yet, or so, I don't know. We can make that decision based on the most compatible and or cheapest conversion, whatever it takes to, because I don't know if we ideally will all get on the same system quick, but we need to have an assessment of what everybody's using.
It's a good idea.
In order to know. So I don't know who could gather that, but we need to know.
It doesn't really matter about the software, it's the format.
Yeah.
Because once you scan it into, say, TIFF,
Yep.
then, you know, the software will work to use the TIFF image.
Sharon, you have one more thing?
If you don't, I understand that the goal here is to get everything out of 81 Jefferson Street. Having spent time at 81 Jefferson Street, most of us understand that. Some of us. But if you don't have any information at 81 Jefferson Street, would this be available to those of us who are already trying to scan? I mean, if the main
Yes.
goal is to take care of what's at 81 Jefferson.
Well, I don't want to confuse, 81 Jefferson Street, I think, is the epitome of the fact that we're not scanning. I mean, it's the example of what happens when we don't digitize. That really isn't the problem. That's a manifestation of the problem. The problem is that we have a situation that we need to cure and get past stuff digitized. So that building just becomes the poster boy for our problem.
Well, as long as you send specific requests and we get a response on that from the prosecutor, and then the funding issue, those are the two main issues I see here, is you have to determine what you can scan, what you can eliminate, and who's going to pay for it.
All right, so
Sorry to be blunt, but.
we need to wrap this up because Commissioner is going to be in. So, we will meet the third Tuesday of April, whatever that is, for another work session, which will give us all a month. And that your job is to try to find out as much as possible what your retention situation is, and our job is to find out costs on a countywide basis as much as we can. So we'll all have some information at that point. Mike, your point's well taken back there, so we'll look at exactly what it is we need to do to get everybody on the same page.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out, participating, and helping us with this issue. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. I know how much you like eating.
Have a great one.
Yeah, well, there is a.
See you later. You got your key? Yes. Okay, I will.